Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, brought to you by BetDSI, and I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365 for all the latest Raiders news and rumors. And also, subscribe below to youtube.com/Raiders Report if you want to be on my Raider Nation rumors. Got a big game this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, so let's look ahead to that Week 14 matchup. The Steelers are coming to Oakland. This game is on Sunday at 3:25 p.m. or 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. That's on my bad. And then the favorite is the Steelers by 10.5 according to BetDSI. The over-under on this game is 51.5 points. And guess what? I'm taking the Raiders to cover, but the over-under, I'm going over. And where am I betting on this game? I'm betting at it at BetDSI. See down there where it says play now at chatsports.com/bet. That's where you got to go. Remember, use that promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. Mitch, what does that mean? You put down $50, you're going to get $60 for free. You put down $100, get $120 for free. It's the best promo code on the internet. I bet you can't find a better one. Shout out to BetDSI for hooking us up here at Chat Sports. Now let's look ahead here and look for the Steelers and the Raiders and how they compare on offense, because the Steelers have one of the best offenses in the NFL. Like, let's just be honest here. So the Steelers are sitting there, 413 yards per game, fourth best in the NFL. The Raiders only 22nd best in the NFL, 346. The passing yards, though, man, the Steelers with Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, they can beat you in so many different ways, and it's why they're ranked second in the NFL in terms of passing yards. Rushing yards per game, the Raiders actually average more rushing yards per game than the Steelers, which I found actually pretty surprising. The Steelers are 29th in the NFL, and they're going to be without their leading rusher, James Conner. In terms of first downs, the Steelers can have 24 first downs a game, and then the Raiders are averaging only 19. We need to get that one about the same if we're going to have a chance in this one. Time of possession is going to be a big thing, and they're just an overall points per game. The Steelers 28.5 or 28.8, and the Raiders at 18.3. Got to be able to keep up with this high-powered Steelers offense. But it's not all about offense. We also got to look at the defensive side of the ball, too. The Raiders, in terms of pass yards allowed per game, 14th in the NFL. But I think that's mainly because teams just run the ball down the Raiders' throats. Ranked 31st in the NFL, 153 yards per game allowed. If you watch my Raiders six-pack of rumors, I said over-under 153 rushing yards for the Steelers in this game. The Steelers, though, in terms of turnovers, both teams have forced 12 turnovers this year, ranked 23rd in the NFL. Sacks. Look at the difference among sacks. The Raiders ranked dead last in the NFL with only 10 sacks this year. Heck, the team that's in 31st place has 19 sacks, and then the Steelers, they're number one in the league in sacks, 41 sacks, and then points per game allowed. Steelers are allowing 23.5, 15th. The Raiders are allowing 30.6, which is ranked 31st. Not what you like to see when you're going up against a high-powered Steelers offense. So let's look at some keys to the game if the Raiders are going to win this one. You got to force turnovers, especially when you're looking at Ben Roethlisberger. We need to make him super uncomfortable, because when Ben struggles, the Steelers are going to struggle. Big Ben has 7 interceptions in the 5 losses/ties this season for the Steelers. Big Ben and the Steelers normally play a lot better at home, especially Ben. He's been just notorious his entire career for playing better at home. So let's make Ben feel a little bit uncomfortable. Let's force some turnovers. We need good field position in order to convert some points. So, and then if we can get Ben to force some turnovers, maybe the Raiders can get a lead, and maybe we can force the Steelers into predictable passing situations. If we can at least make them in predictable passing situations, we can at least know what's coming, and maybe we control the big plays. And if we can limit the big plays, like we can't have a 97-yard touchdown from Juju, because as soon as the Steelers start breaking off long plays against the Steelers, I'm telling you right now, this one is over. So we're talking about turnovers. I want to know from you, who will throw more interceptions on Sunday? I want you to type C for Carr or type B for Big Ben. Derek Carr, 1 interception since week 4. I'm typing my B for Big Ben. Even though Ben might toss up 500 yards in this game, he's also good for like at least 2 interceptions every single game. But I want to know from you, type C for Carr or type B for Big Ben. Next key to the game is let's keep the stars in check. I've already mentioned Juju. I mentioned Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger. Luckily, James Conner is going to miss this game. I shouldn't say luckily. I don't like to see anybody get hurt. But if we can keep their big stars in check, maybe just keep them under, I don't know, 200 yards receiving between Antonio Brown and Juju, the Raiders might have a real shot. Speaking of 200 yards, over under 200 receiving yards combined for Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. Both receivers are in the top 10 in the NFL in terms of yards, and Antonio Brown, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in the NFL. And if we can control Juju, and maybe Garyon Conley can limit Antonio Brown, because you don't stop AB, you just limit him. So, over-under. Type O for over or U for under. Next key to the game, controlling the clock. Let's keep that high-powered Steelers offense on the sidelines. Let's keep them off the field, and a great way to do that is going to be with Derek Carr. Derek Carr has been playing much better since week 4. 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 285 yards last week. He hasn't thrown an interception, like I said, since week 4, but the QBR has been much better. And since the week 4, I'm telling you, with the fact that he doesn't turn the ball over, and they're moving it, sure, it's a dink and dunk offense right now. But you know what? A dink and dunk offense is actually racking up time of possession, and that's going to keep the Steelers' offense off the field. And as long as the Steelers' offense is off the field, breaking news, it's hard to score points. So, who's going to win the time of possession battle? Because I think when you're going to look at the nitty-gritty in this game, that's what it's going to come down to. So type R for Raiders or type S for Steelers. Who's going to win the time of possession battle, okay? Because for me, I really want to say R, guys. I really do, but I think the Steelers just have such a tough offense, and they're going to rack up a little bit more first down. So I will still type my S for Steelers, but I'm hoping that the Raiders rack up time possession and ultimately look pretty good doing so. Speaking of looking good, I think I look pretty good right now, and it's because I'm wearing some Mizzen+Main. And if you guys want to look as good as me, go to comfortable.af. And I get asked all the time, Mitch, why is the website comfortable.af? Guys, I'm telling you, these are the most comfortable dress shirts you will ever wear. Comfortable.af. Shout out to Mizzen+Main for making me look good and feel good. Next key to the game here, it's we got to finish drives. Like at the end of the day, when you're going up against a high-powered offense, you're going up against really any team in the NFL. We need touchdowns, and we don't need field goals. 7 is more than 3. Yes, you're getting a math lesson here on the Raiders Report. So I want to know from you, are the Raiders going to score more touchdowns or more field goals in this Week 14 game? If you type 7 for touchdowns, that's what I'm hoping for. If you type 3 for field goals, you might as well also type an L, because the Raiders, if they're kicking field goals against the Steelers, L, guaranteed. Next key to the game, let's feed Jalen Richard. Yeah, I want to feed Jalen Richard the football a little bit more. 6 carries, as my voice awfully squeaks, for 95 yards last week. He looked unbelievable. Sure, he fumbled, but can we get this guy the football a little bit more? Doug Martin's been good. He's been good, but he hasn't been Jalen Richard good. Like, he's the best pass-catching running back on the team. And the last time Richard had 11 carries, the Raiders won. He had 11 carries for 60 yards. I'm sick and tired of hearing Jalen Richard can't carry the load. He's got 36 carries, 214 yards. That's 5.9 yards per carry. And he leads the team in receptions, 56 catches, 478 yards. Let's get the ball into the hands of one of the best playmakers on our team right now, because I'm sick and tired of seeing Doug Martin, who's an average running back, play over Jalen Richard, who's just clearly shown to be a better fit in this offense, a better fit with Derek Carr. So, as I'm going to try to calm down here a little bit before I come back on screen, who is the best running back on the Raiders? I want to know from you. I want you guys to comment below. You can probably guess who I think is the best running back on the Raiders, but this show isn't just about me. So, guys, please let me know who's the best running back on the Raiders. Let's take a look now at that Week 14 matchup one more time. And the game is at Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you to Landon for correcting that. And the Steelers are favored by 10.5 points. Like I said before, I think the Raiders are actually going to cover this one, being at home. They played pretty well against the Chiefs last week. Over-under at 51.5. I think it's going to be definitely over in that. So, we got to predict the score. Raiders versus the Steelers. And remember, the only way you're going to qualify for this is if you DM me on Twitter, okay? DM me on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. The first person to give me the right score, you're going to win $25 out of my back pocket. But you guys know that I don't wear pants. All right, let's look ahead now to Week 14 to 17, because this game, or this is what I really wanted to harp on. The Raiders are sitting there with the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. And if we win another game, the chances of us getting the number 1 overall pick and Nick Bosa, probably pretty slim. Week 14 against the Steelers, I think they're going to end up losing that game. Even though the Bengals right now look like the worst team in the NFL, especially that defense, going into Cincinnati is going to be a tough game. The Broncos, all of a sudden, are playing not like donkeys, but they're playing a lot better. I think that's going to be a loss. And then at Kansas City, the only way that they win this game is if the Chiefs bench their entire team and bench the entire second team, and if Andy Reid's out there playing quarterback. So, I want to know from you. I just showed you the Raiders' last 4 games. So, how many games are the Raiders going to win this season? They already have 2. I'm probably going to stick with 2. And it's okay because they can't make the playoffs. They're literally already out of contention for that. Let's move on to 2019. Let's get a better draft pick. I'm hoping my fingers are crossed for Nick Bosa. Raider Nation, I want to say thanks so much for tuning in to the Raiders Report. Follow me on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365, and I'm going to be back Sunday after Raiders and Steelers, and hopefully a Raiders win. So until then, go Raiders.